Hello, babies! It is Claire here with another Pricey Kitty YouTube video. We discuss all things sex work related. We give tips and tricks and discuss certain lifestyle topics. Today, we're going to be discussing burnout. This has been on my mind for the whole 2022, and I really wanted to make a video identifying what burnout is and, give tips on how to avoid it or how to deal with it and just how to cope. Because it's hard out here. So let's get into it. First things first, this is a safe space for all love dealers. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's begin the topic on burnout by identifying the 4 types of common burnout. So the first one that we have is boredom. Boredom burnout is when you feel unfulfilled. This one is kind of sneaky, but just think about how much effort it takes to engage yourself in something that you just don't enjoy. This is what we call boredom burnout. This is when you're not living in alignment. You have outstretched your personal boundaries and you forgot that your true happiness comes from living an authentic life fueled with a sense of purpose and balance. So let's go to the second type of burnout, which is overwhelm burnout. This is a burnout type when you are being overly productive. When you're in a position where life just feels like one big to-do list and you're drowning in task and responsibility, it's a good bet that you're dealing with overwhelm burnout. This basically just means you're overwhelmed because your life or your work is overpowering you. Physical burnout. Physical burnout is on the health side. Okay, so it's a little bit more physical than just the self-care aspect, which is more mental. Physical burnout is basically when you're thinking about how you feel physically, okay? So this can happen when you find yourself exhausted, strung out, and drained, usually because of stress. Stress can definitely haywire your whole operational system. Might find yourself getting sick more frequently as well, which is a total telltale sign. Burnout occurs, physical burnout occurs when your body and mind can no longer keep up with the task you demand of them. And so you really want to make sure that you're not forcing yourself to do the impossible task. When you are giving too much energy outward and not enough inward, it's basically when you're burning too much fuel than you've put in your tank. So physical, I think, is a really big type of burnout that a lot of dancers and cam girls, hoes, a lot of us deal with because it kind of goes with the job. So yeah. The fourth and final type of burnout is emotional burnout. This one is the self-care side, which I like to call the mental side. This is the easiest type of burnout to ignore, and for that reason, it's almost the most dangerous. People who are typically high achieving and motivated can become apathetic, disinterested, and then they'll begin numbing more. So this one is very dire because this is how, depression can start. And when you're not living, like I said, when you're putting too much energy outward and not enough inward, and you're not taking care of yourself and making sure that you're not pouring from an empty cup, this is how emotional burnout can occur. So those are the 4 types of burnout that I want to discuss about today. We have boredom, overwhelm, physical, and emotional. So let's go ahead into getting how does burnout start so that we can identify the signs and then try to work around and prevent and treat burnout. Let's get it. Let's go and talk about the 12 phases of burnout. Now, I'm going to get school teacher on you. This is for the Pricey Academy. And if you have not, go ahead and join Pricey Academy on Patreon. It is free for the first week. So go ahead, and I just put on some tips, so how to avoid burnout, or how I avoid burnout, on there. So go ahead and join if you do want some more practical tips. Psychologist Herbert Freudenberger theorized that the burnout process can be divided into 12 phases, which are not necessarily followed sequentially. Let's go ahead and put the 12 phases of burnout into a character. Let's call her Lucy. Lucy is having the compulsion to prove herself. This is found as an excessive ambition. Her desire to prove herself in the workplace turns into compulsion. So you might noticing that she's doing stuff obsessively. She has to get to work on this, and she's a little too obsessed with having to prove herself. So she starts working harder. This is phase 2. Lucy will establish high personal expectations because she desperately wants to prove herself to others, and she wants to fit in an organization that just doesn't really suit her. To meet these expectations, she will tend to focus solely on work while taking on more work than she otherwise would have. Since Lucy has to devote everything to work, she now has no time or energy for anything else. Friends and family, eating and sleeping, these things are starting to be seen as unnecessary or unimportant because they reduce her time and energy that she can be spent on at work. So as you see now, because of the obsession, because she's working harder, now she's neglecting her social needs and her physical needs. Phase 4 of burnout. This is the displacement of conflicts. Okay, this is kind of tricky. So just go ahead and listen to the story of Lucy, and let's see where she's really starting to fuck up. Lucy is becoming more aware that what she's doing isn't right for her, but she's unable to see the source of the problem. This leads to a crisis in her, and it becomes a threat. This is when the first physical symptoms appear. So maybe, she's getting dark circles under her eye. Let's say she's not eating enough, so her period is late. Just certain things. Maybe she's dehydrated. She's not drinking her water. Her skincare is not up to key. So now she's breaking out, looking crazy. Okay. Phase 5, revision of values. So as she sees these physical symptoms coming on, Lucy falls into a state of denial of basic physical needs, perceptions, and value systems. All of these begin to change. Her job is her new value system that she stands on, and now she's starting to become emotionally blunt. Phase 6 of burnout, denial of emerging problems. Lucy may become intolerant, and she dislikes being social now. She's seen as aggressive and sarcastic. People, problems may be blamed on time pressure and all the work that Lucy has to do. So now she's just blaming everybody and everything for her problem. She's in denial. Phase 7 is withdrawal. Now Lucy has minimal social contact, and now she's turned to isolating herself. Alcohol or drugs are usually used to release from her obsessive working. Now Lucy has feelings of being without hope or direction. And this is where it gets kind of scary. Phase 8, obvious behavioral changes. Coworkers, family, friends, and others in Lucy's immediate social circle can't overlook the behavioral changes in her. Now they're just like, Lucy, you're not behaving the same. You're not the same girl. What's going on? And everyone can see it except for her. Phase 9, depersonalization. It's possible that Lucy no longer sees herself as valuable. Her view of life is narrowing, and now she's only seeing the moment in life turning into a series of mechanical functions. This is almost like dissociation. Phase 10, Inner emptiness. Lucy feels empty inside, and she may exaggerate activities such as overeating, sex, or drinking to overcome these feelings. Phase 11, depression. Burnout may include depression. In this case, Lucy is exhausted, hopeless, indifferent, and believes that life has no more meaning. Phase 12, which is the final phase, burnout syndrome. Lucy has collapsed physically and emotionally and needs immediate medical attention. In extreme cases, suicide may occur, with it being viewed as an escape from her situation. Now, we don't want Lucy to be going through this, and I don't want anyone to be going through this. Now, all of these are very hypothetical. Like I said, this was theorized by psychologists, but just take a moment to think about each of these phases and see if you can identify with any of these, and comment below if any of this is resonating with you. So let's go ahead and talk about how do we treat burnout, and how do we treat and cure and prevent it. How to deal with burnouts, and this requires the 3R approach. Now, the first R is to recognize, watch for the warning signs of burnout. The second R is reverse, undo the damage by seeking support and manage your stress. Third R is resilience. Build your resilience to stress by taking care of your physical and emotional health. Now, the following tips are really good for preventing or dealing with burnout, which can help you cope with your symptoms and regain energy, focus, and a sense of well-being. Put these into 6 steps to achieve what you need without burning out. So the first is to prioritize self-care. You want energy? Then you've got to prioritize your physical vitality. Step 2 is to set boundaries. So important. You want to set boundaries for your time, relationships, and so much more. It all starts with saying no and thinking about what you need for yourself. Step 3 is to lock in those routines. Lock in those routines. They're not sexy, but they give you sustainability without having to think about it. Step 4 is knowing your values. It helps so much to align your actions and goals with the kind of life you want to live. Step 5, know your why. That way you don't have to find motivation, you just have it. Step 6, which is the final one, is get self-aware. Burnout comes and goes. You'll have to stay aware of yourself and your habits to avoid it. So these are my tips on how to identify burnout, how it happens, and as well as how to prevent and treat burnout. I've been there many, many times if you are experiencing burnout before, and it seems like a cycle that never ends. But once I started to become more self-aware, I was able to catch burnout happening and then preventing it so that it doesn't come back. So if you are dealing with burnout, I really hope that these tips have helped you. Please like and comment if these tips have helped you, or give me some ideas of what you plan to do to prevent burnout. Will it be doing yoga every day? Will it be meditating for 5 minutes in the morning? Will it be going to see a therapist? There's so many things to treat the 4 types of burnout. And I really hope that this video helped, even just a little bit. I love you ladies so much, and I hope that you are all taking care of yourself and loving on yourself, because if you don't, who will? So thanks for watching my video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao.